Most people believe that objects are just things: plastic, wood, metal, inert, harmless, and completely lifeless. But some items carry a history so dark, they seem to breathe. They don't just sit in a room, they change it, often at a terrible cost. From ancient relics that bring death to anyone who dares to touch them, to everyday items that seem possessed by something else. Today we are counting down the 10 most cursed objects currently known to exist in our world. Some of these items are locked away behind glass in museums for our own protection. Others might be sitting in an attic or a dusty thrift store shelf right now, waiting for a new owner. This list is not for the faint of heart, and if you are watching this alone, I highly suggest you turn on the lights. These artifacts have left a trail of madness, unexplained accidents, and ruin in their wake. Many who have come into contact with them have begged to be rid of them, only to find that the curse doesn't just disappear. I have researched the records, the police reports, and the chilling eyewitness accounts that keep these stories alive. If you've made it this far, there's no turning back now. Are you ready to see what happens when an object refuses to be owned? Let's begin our countdown of the 10 most cursed objects in existence. Number 10. The Hands Resist Him. The painting is a 1972 work by Bill Stone Ham, depicting a young boy and a doll standing before a glass door. The artist claims the door represents the veil between our waking world and the world of impossibilities. However, the internet saw something much darker in those brushstrokes when it appeared on eBay in 2000. The sellers claimed the characters moved at night. They insisted the doll would threaten the boy with a gun, forcing him to try and escape the canvas. Photos provided with the auction were cited as proof of these late-night shifts. Thousands of people who merely viewed the online images reported sudden nausea and crushing dread. Some claimed their children screamed at the screen upon seeing the doll's hollow, dead eyes. It sold for over $1,000 to a gallery that eventually contacted the artist. Stoneham was baffled, claiming the gun was just a tangle of wires and batteries. Yet the lore has only grown stronger with time. The original gallery owner and the critic who first reviewed it both died within a year. It remains one of the first true internet legends of the digital age. Whether it is a cursed artifact or a collective hallucination, few would dare hang it in their own bedrooms today. The boy stands frozen, but the hands pressed against the glass suggest something is always trying to get out. Number 9. Robert the Doll. In Key West, Florida, sits a sailor suit-clad doll named Robert, currently housed in a museum. He was given to a young boy named Gene Otto in 1904, allegedly by a vengeful servant skilled in voodoo. Soon, Gene's parents began hearing him having full two-sided conversations in his bedroom. One voice was Gene's, but the other was deeper, guttural, and undeniably sinister. Whenever furniture was overturned or items went missing, young Gene would simply point a shaking finger and say, "Robert did it." Neighbors reportedly saw the doll moving from window to window while the family was away. Decades later, the doll was donated to the East Martello Museum, where he still resides. He sits behind glass, but staff and visitors continue to report strange occurrences. Many claim his expression changes depending on how you treat him. There is a wall of letters surrounding his case, all written by tourists begging for forgiveness. These people claim they took his photo without asking permission and were immediately met with disastrous luck. They report sudden car accidents, job losses, and inexplicable illnesses. Even today, you are required to ask Robert for permission before taking his picture. If you don't, the locals say the curse will find you before you even leave Key West. It is a cautionary tale of what happens when a toy is given a soul. Number 8. The Crying Boy Painting. In the 1980s, the United Kingdom was gripped by a terrifying urban legend involving cheap, mass-produced prints. These prints, titled The Crying Boy, depicted a young orphan with large, mournful, tear-streaked eyes. The panic began when the British tabloid The Sun published a story about a string of house fires. In every instance, the house was reduced to ashes, yet the portrait was found completely untouched. Firefighters reported finding the painting face down on the floor, perfectly pristine amidst the charred ruins. Rumors spread like wildfire that the prints weren't just surviving the flames, they were causing them. Hysteria reached a fever pitch, with thousands of people rushing to throw their paintings into the trash. The newspaper even organized a massive public bonfire to destroy thousands of the cursed prints. Later, investigators suggested the prints were treated with a fire-retardant varnish, causing them to fall face down and survive. However, for those who lived through the crying boy panic, no scientific explanation could ease their fear. Many people still refuse to hang portraits of crying children in their homes, fearing the misery they might attract. The painting remains a staple of Halloween-ready ghost stories and suburban dread. It stands as a reminder that sometimes the story we wrap around an object is more powerful than the object itself. Number 7. The Dybbuk Box. The legend of the Dybbuk Box began in 2001 when a man purchased an old wine cabinet at an estate sale. He was told by the previous owner that it had belonged to a Holocaust survivor and contained a Dybbuk, a malicious spirit in Jewish folklore. The owner soon reported a series of terrifying events, including the smell of cat urine and recurring nightmares about a hag. He eventually auctioned the box on eBay, creating a detailed, frightening backstory that went viral. The box became an internet sensation, sparking a bidding war that fueled the legend even further. It eventually ended up in the possession of a museum director who created a website dedicated to the box's history. He claimed that the spirit inside caused him to lose his hair and develop strange skin lesions. The box was eventually gifted to Zach Bagans of Ghost Adventures, who keeps it in his haunted museum. Many have attempted to debunk the box as a clever work of creative writing by the original owner. However, for those who have spent time near the cabinet, the feelings of dread and oppressive energy are very real. Whether the spirit is real or just a story, the box has claimed a place in the pantheon of modern cursed items. People travel across the country just to stand in its presence. Though few are brave enough to open it, it is a testament to how effectively we can manifest fear in a simple piece of wood. Number 6. The Hope Diamond. The Hope Diamond is a stunning 45-carat blue gem with a history steeped in blood and betrayal. Legend says it was stolen from a Hindu statue in India, where it served as one of the deity's eyes. The priests, discovering the theft, placed a terrible curse on anyone who would possess the stone. The first owner, Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, was said to have been torn apart by wild dogs shortly after. However, the diamond continued its journey, landing in the hands of French royalty, including Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. Both were guillotined during the French Revolution, a fate many attribute to the diamond's dark influence. Princess de Lamballe, a close confidant of the Queen, also died a brutal death while the diamond was in her care. The list of victims grew to include financiers, bankers, and even a mailman who delivered the diamond to the Smithsonian. Each owner suffered through bankruptcy, madness, or violent, untimely deaths. Even the person who cut the diamond down to its current size supposedly saw his own son murder him. Today it sits safely in the Smithsonian, appearing to be quiet at last. Yet many still refuse to look at it for too long, fearing the ancient grudge of the Hindu priests. It is the ultimate example of how beauty can hide a history of absolute ruin.
Number 5. The Woman from Lem. This small limestone fertility statue, dating back to 3500 BCE, is known as the Goddess of Death. It was unearthed in Cyprus in 1878 and quickly gained a reputation for killing its owners. The first owner, Lord Elefant, owned the statue for only 6 years before his entire family died under mysterious circumstances. The next two owners, Mr. Manucci and Lord Thompson Noel, met similar fates, with their entire families perishing soon after acquiring the idol. The fourth owner, Sir Beverbrook, also died alongside his wife and 2 daughters, leaving his surviving sons terrified. They donated the statue to the Royal Scottish Museum in Edinburgh, hoping to rid their bloodline of the curse. Tragically, the curse seemingly followed the statue into the museum's halls. The chief of the section where the statue was displayed died suddenly and unexpectedly, alarming the staff. Since that incident, no one has been allowed to touch the limestone figure, and it sits behind protective glass. Some believe the statue absorbs the life force of those who live near it, turning their homes into graveyards. Despite its small, unassuming appearance, it is treated with more caution than almost any other artifact in the collection. The Goddess of Death remains a haunting reminder of the ancient power that some relics still hold. It is a cold, hard object that seems to demand a sacrifice.
Number 4. Tutankhamun's tomb. The discovery of King Tut's tomb in 1922 was the archaeological triumph of the century. But within months, whispers of a pharaoh's curse began to spread across the globe. Howard Carter and his team opened the tomb, and soon the people involved began to die in strange ways. The financier of the expedition, Lord Carnarvon, died from a mosquito bite that became infected, causing blood poisoning. Rumors circulated that the tomb had an inscription warning that death would come to those who disturbed the king's sleep. While many of the deaths were later attributed to natural causes or old age, the legend remained unshakable. The media sensationalized every minor tragedy, painting the tomb as a death trap for the greedy. Even those who visited the tomb or handled the artifacts were suspected of being marked by the king. The curse became an enduring icon of paranormal lore, capturing the public's imagination for over a century. Many scientists have tried to debunk the myth, citing lack of evidence, but the fear of disturbing the ancients persists. It highlights our deep-seated hesitation to intrude upon the final resting places of the dead. Whether it is a true supernatural hex or just a series of coincidences, the legend of King Tut continues to loom large. The boy king remains the ultimate guardian of his own golden treasures. Number 3. The Bassano Vase. This 15th century silver vase is a relic that reportedly carries a death sentence for every person who touches it. Legend says it was a wedding gift for a young bride in Italy, who was murdered while holding the vase on her wedding night. Before passing away, she whispered a curse that would cling to the silver for the next 5 centuries. The vase was passed down through her family, and every single person who inherited it died shortly thereafter. The deaths were never normal. They were sudden, violent, and utterly inexplicable. The vase eventually disappeared, only to resurface in the 1980s with a chilling note inside. Beware. This vase brings death. A pharmacist bought it at auction and died within 3 months. A 37-year-old surgeon bought it next, and he too was dead within months. An archaeologist who acquired it followed the same doomed path, dying shortly after taking possession. The family of the archaeologist tried to sell it, but it was now too infamous to be wanted. Eventually, a family member threw it out a window, hitting a passing policeman who tried to return it. Police and museums alike refused to take it, fearing the intensity of the curse. It was eventually buried in an undisclosed location, where many hope it will remain forever. It is a silent, silver witness to a trail of centuries-old misery. Number 2. The Black Orlov Diamond. The Black Orlov, also known as the Eye of Brahma, is a 67.50 carat diamond shrouded in dark history. It was originally part of a much larger 195 carat stone set as an eye in a Hindu statue in India. Legend says a traveling monk stole the stone, triggering a curse that would plague its owners for generations. The diamond made its way to Russia, where it was owned by Princess Nadia Vegan Orlov. In 1947, after years of turmoil, the princess jumped to her death from a building in Rome. Just 1 month prior, another Russian princess who had owned the diamond also committed suicide. The stone eventually arrived in the United States, where dealer J.W. Paris took possession of it. Soon after finding a buyer, Paris jumped from a New York skyscraper, seemingly becoming the next victim. The curse was so feared that the stone was eventually cut into 3 pieces in a desperate attempt to break the cycle. The largest piece, the Black Orlov, was set into a brooch surrounded by diamonds to dilute its power. Since then, the owners have reported a period of relative peace, suggesting the curse might be dormant. However, the shadow of the Eye of Brahma still hangs over the stone, a constant reminder of its violent past. It is a beautiful, cursed reminder that some things are never truly meant to be owned. Number 1. Annabelle the Doll. Annabelle is the undisputed queen of cursed objects, a Raggedy Ann doll that has terrified thousands. According to paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, the doll was originally given to a young nursing student. She quickly noticed the doll would move from room to room and leave handwritten notes asking for help. A medium told the student that the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a deceased young girl named Annabelle. However, the Warrens soon concluded that the doll was not a child, but a demonic entity. They claimed the doll was responsible for physical slashes on people, a priest's car crash, and the sudden retirement of a detective. After years of terrorizing its owners, the doll was locked away in a blessed glass case at the Warrens' Occult Museum. A warning sign on the case clearly states, "Do not open." To this day, the museum staff treat the doll with absolute reverence and fear, refusing to touch the glass directly. Even though the museum has closed, the legend of Annabelle has only grown through Hollywood films and viral marketing. People still flock to hear stories of her escapes, fueled by the terrifying idea that she is always watching. Whether you believe in demonic possession or think it is just a marketing masterpiece, Annabelle remains a figure of pure dread. She sits in her cage, waiting for the one person who thinks they are brave enough to let her out.
Which of these 10 objects was the most unsettling for you? I still can't get over the Bassano vase story. If you want more cursed content, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. I have a new investigation dropping next that involves a forbidden recording found. Stay safe out there.
Subscribe if you dare.